we should be able to call the meeting to order right now at 4:10. Meeting called to order. We'll do a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're over here.
Chair, I know it's not listed on the agenda, but do you mind if I go ahead and take roll?
No, please.
Board member Walker,
Here.
board member Tiffany. Here. Board member Deb,
Here.
board member Dement,
Here.
board member Cazares,
Here.
board member Blackman, and Chair Castanos,
Here.
Chair Johnson.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Our next item is any additions or deletions to the agenda?
None by staff.
Next would be, next item is public comments. I don't know if we have any of those.
We do not have any public comments.
Next item 4 is conflict disclosures. Do we have any of those? No. Okay, item 5 is current business, the approval of the minutes for the Community Police Oversight Board regular meeting held Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. So we did have a couple of edits to be made.
Clarification on a motion from the last one. I'll let them explain.
Yeah, so the motion that to approve to move this item to the next CPOB meeting. If we had wording that said for consideration of the removal of the check boxes, but we kind of did that at the meeting and said, yeah, had decided we were going to remove that.
This is the complaint form item from the
Okay.
last agenda.
So, the check boxes
Yes.
were removed.
Yeah,
And
this is
then
item 5.6.
5.6.
Yeah.
So the motion should state that the check boxes were to be removed or approved to remove the check boxes and receive an update from general counsel. Is that,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That sounds like.
was that the only?
That's
amendment?
one, and then at the very end, where under adjournment, item 8, it said Chair Castaños and
We didn't catch that one,
Yeah, you
okay. Good catch. Okay, we will make those.
Good catch on those two.
amendments.
yeah. Item number 5.2 is La Mesa Police Department
Did
updates.
we want to go ahead and take a vote
Sorry.
on the, to approve the minutes as amended? That's okay.
Yes, yes, I do want to do this correctly, yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. So it's gonna be to approve the minutes as amended, with the two amendments.
Okay.
So board member Walkup, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Tiffany, how do you vote? Yes. Board member Duff, how do you vote?
You have to
You're going to abstain?
abstain because I'm not getting the minutes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Board member Dement, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Cazares, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Chair Castanos, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yeah, motion carries with all board members voting yes, except with board member Duff abstaining.
So our next item, 5.2, La Mesa Police Department updates.
Good evening, CPOB board. I'm filling in for Chief Sweeney while he's out of town at training for this event. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on our staffing. Right now, we're down 6 police officer positions. The good news is we do have some entry-level applicants and some academy grad or lateral applicants that are in the process. So if things work out, we could potentially bring a few people on board in the next 2 to 3 months. The other thing is we have 1 dispatcher vacancy. So both dispatcher and police officer are open recruitment. So if you know anybody who's interested in a career in law enforcement or dispatching, please encourage them to apply. We're looking for good people, and it's regional. I would even say it's statewide. It's very hard to get quality candidates to put in and get through the process. And then the last thing is, the chief is in collaboration with the city and we're moving forward on an RFP for a staffing study for the police department. So we're looking at hiring a firm to come in and evaluate our needs to see if we are on par or we need more, or they can somehow give us some suggestions to streamline and be a little bit more efficient if that's the case. So we're looking forward to that. It's probably a year-long process by the time we actually get a report and are able to respond to it. But as time goes on, that will certainly be shared with all of you. That's all I have. Any questions?
And so as far as the staffing study goes, what, is there a consulting firm? Is that what you're using to find out?
Right now, we have a list of people that have already submitted for the RFP. So
Okay.
we're at the position to where we're gonna be identifying the finalists and setting up interviews. And then we'll pick a firm from there and they'll be doing it. So it'll be a third party firm.
Okay, and they'll give you an idea of if you really are understaffed, overstaffed, whatever it might be, they'll give you a pretty good sense of that.
Correct, yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.3, independent police auditor updates.
Okay, this quarter, we got 5 new cases, one of which is currently under audit and almost complete. The other 4 are still in IA. So until they get out of IA, we won't be able to determine whether or not they're audit worthy. We have completed 3 cases. 1 is pending and 2 were administratively declined. That's all I have.
Great. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Rick, when does these 5 start? Is this from January 1?
Yeah, there are cases 2301 through 2305.
And then my next question is, how many calls of service have we had since then?
For police service,
Yes, for calls of service, and they're not being, I'm just trying to put in like, are we above or below the normal? Like last year was a really good count compared to, we had 58,000 some odd calls for service and we had 7 or 8 complaints. I'm just trying to see as far as tracking how we sit in the scale.
I don't have the call for service and I'm, pretty sure Matt probably doesn't have it at his fingertips. But the 5 cases is more than we've seen before, but it's not by any means, it's not abnormal in comparison to your sister cities. Yeah, five allegations. That's pretty low for any police department, with the exception of the mythical Mayberry.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's a good thing if we get more complaints, because it means our complaint form is available, the community knows it's available. If they want to file a complaint, they can. Nobody's, keeping that information from them. I think officers are very forthcoming with, yeah, if you want, you can file a complaint and here's the form. And so that just shows the willingness to be transparent and to, seek out any problems and address them. So it's kind of a good thing. I don't know if the state thinks that.
No, I think on the 5 cases, they're probably pretty good. One alleges discourtesy and poor service. And the other 2 were the result of a mental health crisis by the complainants. So those are, and I agree that I think your word is getting out there, you're becoming better known, but the nature of these complaints A is not significant statistically, but the nature of the complaints are also fairly good. No complaint is good, but in the big scheme of things, 3 of the 5 are pretty mundane.
So Captain Nicholas, did you want to address how the state looks at the number of complaints?
Well, you have Senate Bill 2 that's come into play,
Okay.
so there's just more reporting requirements for us.
Oh.
But it really doesn't impact when we take a complaint or when it makes it to the IPA. Either way, regardless of the state, their regulation, we were already doing this.
Okay.
We just didn't report, and it has to do with decertification and the state post tracking who was involved in a certain complaint and if that rises to the level of decertification, if it's sustained.
Thanks.
All right, item 5.4, legal counsel complaint form update.
Sure. So I'm going to build a little bit on what Captain Nicholas was just describing in reference to SB2, but just for anyone who wasn't at the meeting last month, or to refresh your memory of what the issue here was that currently, or I guess not currently, prior to the last meeting, the complaint form contained an area where complainants could mark check boxes describing the category of complaint that they had, such as discourtesy or bias, excessive force. And last month, the chief asked the CPOB whether it would be willing to remove those checkboxes from the complaint form because of a concern that having the checkboxes would require LMPD to over-report complaints to post under the new SB2 requirements. So I had advised, or I had offered last month that I wanted to have a chance to go back and look at SB2 and understand precisely what it does require so that I could better advise you all on whether such a change would be compliant with SB2. So I just want to give a kind of a brief overview of SB2 and the kind of context in which this operates. So as Chief Sweeney correctly described last month, SB2, which is some legislation that we've been talking about in bits and pieces over the course of the last 2 years, had a new provision go into effect January 1st that, as Captain Nicholas was explaining, puts more reporting requirements on police departments to report to this state commission, the Post Commission, which has the authority to decertify police officers if they commit certain forms of misconduct. And so as part of that process, the state is now requiring individual police departments to forward or to provide that commission with all complaints or allegations of serious misconduct that the department receives. And so, for example, if someone filed a complaint with the CPOB alleging excessive force, just as that now triggers an automatic audit by the IPA, SB2 requires LMPD to report that allegation to post, the state body, before it's even investigated, before the complaint is deemed sustained. And part of that is so that the state body can have a sort of parallel oversight process of independent police departments to make sure that complaints of serious misconduct are being adequately investigated and handled. And so last month, Chief Sweeney explained a concern that some complainants will just check all of the boxes on the complaint form or check a box that doesn't actually correlate to their narrative of what happened. And then the police department is in a tricky position of having to report a complaint that doesn't actually rise to the level of the sort of serious misconduct that the statute requires to be reported, but someone has checked the box saying this is excessive force, for example. And so he proposed removing the check boxes and having relying on the complainant's narrative explanation of what happened so that whoever at the department is reviewing these complaints can then exercise their judgment to determine whether it needs to be reported. So that was the context. The long and short of it is that, I think either way, this complaint form, the police department is capable of complying with SB2 with the check boxes or without. And I think explained most simply, the risk of including the check boxes may be that some complaints are over-reported to the state commission, and the risk of, though Chief Sweeney explained the process for reviewing complaints and making sure that all complaints that rise to the level of serious misconduct are reported, there's less independence, I guess, in having the police department make that judgment for themselves. And so ultimately, I think it's up to you all to decide what you think is best for the complaint form. And I know last time there was like an interesting discussion among you all about whether the check boxes might aid complainants and give them the language to describe their experience, or whether it might, inappropriately or incorrectly suggest terminology that doesn't actually correlate to what they experienced. But essentially my legal opinion now, after going back and looking at it, is that, either way, it seems like the police department is going to be able to comply with SB2 with or without the check boxes. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot of information, not all of which was necessary for this small decision.
I thought the discussion led to just going with that brief description of the incident, and the only thing we were concerned about was like the average citizen know what wording to put in there, but I'm sure they know what their complaint is. So I'm personally okay with that. I don't know about anybody else. Thinking that we need to have some things listed for people to know what their complaint might be. I don't know how the group feels about it.
And I feel that if they describe what happened, like the officer called me the N-word or something, I mean, that would clearly identify discrimination. If words that, inappropriate words or poor service, any of that could fit into these check boxes, and the internal affairs people would catch that and say, oh yeah, this is rising to the occasion of, submitting this for a further review. So I think just getting the person, the complainant, to say what happened exactly is going to get us to the truth a lot better than check boxes. And, just their description of it will help both our IPA and our police department investigators identify, what type of complaint this is. Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Absolutely makes sense. I mean, we have the independent police we have the IPA, who's also reviewing at your direction any cases that we do. So there's a layer of oversight there already.
I think the thing that remained in my mind was language. And do we provide it? I guess do we have translators to translate if it's written in a different language than English, or do we have the complaint form in other languages, that type of thing?
Are you suggesting like have the complaint form in Spanish or Arabic or something? Or are you saying?
One or the other, or do we have a way of receiving a complaint from somebody who English is not their primary language, right?
We would bring in an interpreter.
Okay.
And they could verbally do it. We have people that come in and give verbal complaints, and we write down the information on the form. And then remember, every complainant is thoroughly interviewed, and that's where you get the detailed statement. When they first initially file the complaint, it's usually a synopsis of what they think the complaint is, and then we dive into it further with their statements.
And so interpretation is available if that's the.
Absolutely.
That was,
Are we required to have this in at least Spanish or a complaint form or, I don't know if that's something that you're required to do.
We're required to have a process for filing a complaint. I don't know of a regulation that says we're required to have it in a different language. It wouldn't be something we would be opposed to.
Yeah, so we can get,
I think it's a very good idea to have it available.
at least in Spanish, yeah. Probably Spanish is the most predominant second language in La Mesa. I don't know. If it was El Cajon, then it would probably be Arabic, but I'm sure we have a few members of the Arabic community here. But yeah, to at least have it in Spanish would be a great idea, so we should check that out. Once we get this revamped, which it probably already is, I'm sure you guys got on that right away after our last meeting to revamp this form, because we removed the ones about giving permission to be contacted. And so it would probably be good to take a look at this again and see if we can get it translated into Spanish to begin with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the updated survey is on the website and I think it's available. Yours?
It should be available.
It's on the
our-
CPOBs too, in the form with the boxes removed.
Okay.
Pending today's meeting. But I'll go back and check that to verify that that is the case, but that's my memory.
Okay. Great.
Megan, do we need a,
Do we need a vote?
do we need a motion and a vote for approving the final draft of the survey?
We can, just to formalize it, we can do that.
Okay.
Cause I think last time we also removed the
We did.
the boxes, both wow, brain is not working
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
There were the two boxes that were like, can the police department and can,
Contact,
yeah, can the IPA contact? And then there was all the boxes for,
Yeah.
and I think we removed,
Both,
Yeah.
both sets, yeah.
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
reflects
the
that.
survey though, that's not on, that's gonna be a separate agenda then, because I'm seeing that this item is just.
The complaint form.
Yeah,
I think that's
he meant
what
to
I'm
say.
saying.
Oh, I'm saying, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh, okay.
I'm confusing the
He
item.
knew what you meant.
Complaint form.
Yeah.
Survey.
Yeah, we can
Complaint
make a
form.
motion to approve. a
Assuming
complaint
that's
form
what,
with-
assuming that's what the board wants to do.
but
I we haven't heard.
Before we do that, I did want to bring something up. I looked at the minutes that were posted with the packet, and those are not the most updated minutes. There was actually revisions made to them, and I'm not sure why they weren't. That updated one was not posted, so I would ask if the board could rescind their motion to approve the minutes as it is, so that we can bring back the fully revised set. And we'll add those amendments that were made, because I believe we caught that what brought it to my attention is that Chair Costanos and Chair Leroy at the end, and then I noticed on the minutes too, there's two motions for 5.1. One says to delete all of the boxes, and then the next one says to consider it at the next meeting and with the general
Oh.
counsel review. So I'm gonna have to maybe have Stacy watch the video again to see if two motions were actually made at that meeting regarding that, because it seemed a little bit, yeah, they contradict each other a little bit.
Number one.
I think it was,
No,
yeah, I think it was one motion that, yeah, that it had both, that like, this was what we were gonna do, but that we still wanted to hear from Caroline
Okay.
today.
Yeah, it was one motion.
There was one motion,
Two
okay, so
seconds.
we don't, if the board doesn't mind, if we could make a motion to rescind the approval of the minutes, and then we'll come back at the next meeting with the correct minutes.
I'll move to rescind the.
Okay.
Second.
And I'll go ahead and take a vote, sorry, just 1 second. Right, so, board member Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Tiffany, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Duff, how do you vote?
You know, I did not receive minutes, but I do remember the situation. Of course.
So, yes. Okay. Board member Donette, how do you vote? Board member Cazares, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member, Vice Chair Castanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes. And thank you for that. I apologize for the mishap. And then if we want to go ahead and make a motion to approve the complaint now. Complaint, how to get that.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the complaint form as directed at our last meeting, which we took all of the boxes out. I'm not sure how to say that.
Yeah.
but No check boxes.
I'll second. Board member Walkup, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Tiffany, how do you vote? Yes. Board member Dove, how do you vote? Board member Dement, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board member Gonzalez, how do you vote? Yes. Vice Chair Castanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chair Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
So how do we make sure you get the minutes, Bob?
Yeah.
That's what I talked.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Wanted to make sure we weren't
we
ignoring
have
that.
talked about it. There's nothing we can do at our end about getting that email through. We've tried. We have your correct email. As discussed, you are able to access the minutes the Friday prior to the meeting on the website.
It might be in your spam folder.
Happy
I
to-
get Sue Richardson's and I get the church meetings and I get about 100 other emails daily.
I just need to include this one. Our next item is 5.5, which is the CPOB ad hoc subcommittee assignments for 2023. And so we have four particular ad hoc subcommittees: policies, operations and trainings, emergency ops and communication, community policing and outreach, and hiring practices, promotions, employee wellness programs. And so the thought is that we've got those four ad hoc subcommittees and we're looking at getting new board members. We have a few new people, and what I'd like to propose is that we have at least two of us on each of those four ad hoc subcommittees, and that people would choose which one they would like to be a part of. So now we only have 6 people here. So that's gonna be choosing one of those that you'd like to be a part of, with the maximum number of CPOB people being 2 right now on each of those ad hoc subcommittees. And
So
so-
can I
Yes, go ahead, please.
just at our last meeting, Chief Sweeney mentioned that emergency operations and communications, that's kind of, we're set there. That's something you guys review and go through, scenarios every once in a while. So that's kind of a done deal. I don't think we need a subcommittee to address. I think we set that up originally because it was right after May 30th, 2020. So that one we could probably, I think we talked about it at the last meeting that we would remove that, and yeah, I didn't catch it that it's still on there, but we can remove that one and just have the 3 subcommittees. That would make it a little easier.
That way everybody here could be on an ad hoc subcommittee. too.
Yes, 2 people each.
So I have the former staffing
Okay,
of these, of them, and some of these people are gone.
right.
Yeah.
Some of these folks are in, with our IPA, so we're gonna have to hear from Rick as whether they're available, and then some of them are with PD that were participants before. One of them no longer with the organization. So if we start with policies, operations, and training, it was board member Anna Fuentes, who is still with us, or no? She's not with us, I should know that. Board member Bob Duff. It was Bert Nunley with Rick in the IPA, Bartlett James, and it was Lieutenant Katie Lynch. So
We would only need one more CPOB person.
So Bob, are
assuming Katie
you,
Lynch and Bert Nunley are still available and still willing to participate.
Bob, are you willing to continue on with policies, operations and trainings?
I'm willing to be on any of them.
Okay.
Okay, so we got Bob.
Katie Lynch is available.
Okay, so we got Katie. Rick, how does Bert feel about this?
Yeah, Bert's, he won't be involved, so it'll either be myself, Dennis, or Carissa.
Tell you what, well, let's nominate you.
Yay.
All right, thanks for being a team player. You are now on the Policies, Operations and Trainings Subcommittee. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need one other. Now, policies, operations, and trainings involves use of force policy, cultural competency, unintentional bias awareness training, crowd control tactics, policies and procedures, use of non-lethal and less lethal weapons policies, de-escalation training, purchase of military equipment. That's kind of a little summary of some of the things you're dealing with this particular subcommittee. Anybody else?
I'll hop on there.
Okay.
This we have Lauren. All right, well, it looks like we've got that one taken care of.
Yeah.
I will list the staffing for community policing and outreach. It was board member Caitlin Tiffany. It was board member Mike McWilliams. It was Carissa Croxton with Bartlett James. And it was Lieutenant Chad Bell, who is no longer with La Mesa PD.
You have an expanded
Do
definition.
you have
of
any
that one.
ideas for La Mesa
Yeah.
PD?
Chad said no.
Yeah. I go to Chad's gym and I'm not gonna ask him on
Yeah.
this, because he'll kick me out of the gym.
Let me think about it for a minute.
Okay,
You can ask. Caitlin, were you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Caitlin's on. So let me just,
Still?
Yes.
okay.
okay, Caitlin,
Thank
so
you.
let me just give you the bullet points on that one. Community engagement activities, mental health and homelessness issues, complaint procedure handbook and accessible complaint form, which is done, but always in review. Community involvement in elimination of racial bias, CPOB as a bridge between community and law enforcement.
That sounds like my
Your
spot.
area, yeah.
Sounds pretty pastoral.
Yeah. Although employee wellness makes sense.
So-
I was just trying to figure it out.
Are we plugging you in?
Sure, I'd be
Mike?
happy to-
Okay, thank you.
And then Carissa, Rick, would Carissa stay there?
Yeah, she'll stay there unless you guys boot her off.
Okay,
Did Chad retire?
He did.
Oh, congrats to him. I need to
know.
send him a congratulations
I know.
email. That must have happened a long time ago and I missed it.
I think it was October.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm not too far, only like 6 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll tell him hi for you.
Cool.
yeah, you see him. Okay. Good. What about hiring
Good.
practices?
Okay, hiring practices, promotions, employee wellness programs. Board, Chair Leroy Johnson,
Chair.
Board Member Brandon Kirsten, Dennis Montejano, Bartlett James, Lieutenant Greg Runge. So we need to replace, let's see, Kurtzen. So Leroy, do you want to stay?
Yes.
Okay. Rick, what's Dennis's availability?
Yeah, he'd be good with that.
Okay, good there. Mr. Runge,
So I want to hold off on the two LMPD
okay,
spots because we have, one thing I didn't mention in the staffing update is we have a lieutenant recruitment that's going on right now. We may have a new lieutenant named within the next month. So I kind of want to keep those two options because Runge may not want to do it, may want to pass them to somebody else.
okay, so we're gonna leave Chad's spot and Runge's spot tentative right now, till you get back.
Correct.
Okay,
And I will also serve on that subcommittee.
okay, so we have Vice Chair Castagna. All right, that was easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, not bad. So Leroy, you had that information that Patricia recommended, our city councilwoman.
Yeah.
Recommended,
Yeah, she had an idea that just for training and familiarization, that everybody could take a look at the NACO website and look at the particular ad hoc subcommittee that you're part of and look for some of their historical webinars that they have, or they've got a lot of material in there once you start looking. So, may not be a webinar, but it may be something in writing that's posted. There's a lot of material so that each one of the subcommittees would go and do a little bit of research and come back with two things that they wanted to look at with our current movement on these ad hoc stuff. Everybody's agreeable to that, that would be good.
And if we could add an agenda item where we report out, so if you've had a chance to gather some information, maybe you could report out like, oh, I attended such and such a NACOL workshop, and here's a couple of things that really stood out for me, and offer that. And then I don't know if she talked to you about this, but she also, if you haven't already engaged in a ride-along, she felt it was really important for all of us to do that, and I think most of us have. And it is a powerful experience, and you're welcome to do it again. It's really, and I'm not sure if it's who the officer is, Riley. I'm not sure if he's still doing it.
How do we get that set
Sergeant
up?
Riley. Yeah.
Yeah, I can find out who the actual contact
Okay,
is
I
right
think
now.
it was
recently
Riley a
changed.
while ago. I don't know if he's still.
It's not Riley
Okay.
anymore. We moved him
He's up.
upstairs.
Okay, so somebody knew. So yeah, if we could get right along contact information, then we could move everybody to have either another experience or the first experience, but that really helps you get a sense of what our officers are doing out in the field, so.
So from what I'm hearing, on the next agenda, we would have that everyone report back with their kind of their homework assignment with NACOL.
Yeah,
And then wait to hear from Matt on these two assignments before scheduling the actual subcommittees to meet.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
right, because we need to.
Because we're
know.
gonna need that first, so maybe we wait to hear from Matt before I start scheduling everyone to work on their, for lack of a better word, work plans.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you two received information yet on NACOL contact, but it's the National Association, community.
Civilian.
Civilian
oversight
oversight
of
of
law.
law enforcement, thank you. So that, we have, the city paid for us to be able to access that information, attend webinars, and, there's lots, as Leroy mentioned, lots of information on their websites, both written and, verbally, so.
Yeah, we haven't, at least I haven't received that yet,
Yeah.
but happy to hop on as soon as I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I will send out when I get NACOL emails, any kind of trainings. Lately, I haven't seen a lot. I've seen more voting for their board
Yeah.
type stuff, which we haven't shown a lot of interest in because we just don't know who those people are.
Right.
And we're a little removed. But I will make sure those emails get out. If anyone wants to attend a training or a webinar, you would do that through me and I pay for it and I get you your link and all that good stuff.
And I think what happens is if you ever attend any of the webinars, then you're on their list. And because I got one
Oh, is that
today.
happening?
Yeah, today
Yeah, I
about,
do get emails directly. from
That's
them
good.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
good. They add you to their listserv. It
Yes.
sounds like, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
good.
so that'll be a way to make contact on your own too. So.
And we are a member of NACOL.
Yep.
We pay for annual membership.
Did we do all the assignments for the ad hoc? Did we go through each one already?
Yes, we do.
We did.
Just three, only three. We're cutting down our work. We're only down, we're down to
We
three.
did it right.
See how easy that was?
I'm also trying to update minutes, like I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do two things at once, I
I
apologize.
sure not keeping the minutes. I can give you everything. I have it all documented.
Anything else on that one? So. Okay. Item 5.6, Community Police Oversight Board Survey Update.
Okay, so I received the latest update from Dylan Scraw, who is a PhD candidate at San Diego State. And he's helping us with the online survey. And I wanted to report out how many surveys we've collected to date. The survey is going to be up till the end of April, so we still have some time. We have received 76 hard copy surveys, which we hand out whenever we have like a forum of some sort. So we collected several at this forum last week. And when the chief has his community conversations, we collect them there as well. We've received 54 responses online. So the online survey, which surprises me because that's not, I thought we'd have more than that.
Yeah.
But Dylan said that at this time, the overwhelming majority skews older. We only have 2 respondents at 18 to 24 and 0 younger than that, but I sent the survey to Helix. They said they'd get to it after spring break, which they should be looking at. I'm gonna send them another reminder and say, I'm not sure when spring break is there, but I think it's right around this time. And they should be putting that out to their students. Last year, we got 175 from Helix, so we should get a similar number again. So we'll get
I'm all-
significant number of youth responses. And so we're looking at a little bit better than what we did last year. If Helix, follows through, as they said they would, and they always do, I think we'll be good.
I can take that on myself too, to share that on my social media,
Oh,
LinkedIn
good.
and whatnot, because I've got the under 30 crowd kind of
Oh.
unlocked there,
Oh.
so.
We need that because the 35% are 65 to 75 years old. So that's most of the group.
Yeah.
And then 23% are 55 to 64. So you see more than 50% are older, 55 and above, and we kind of need some
Yeah,
younger
I'll
response.
share that tonight, so I
Okay,
don't forget.
perfect, yeah. That's great. So, and then he's collected some extra comments as well. So I think we're doing all right. And again, I'll kind of nudge Helix to get their responses in as soon as they get back from spring break. So that's the survey.
And just an item related to that, I know on our La Mesa website, we're advertising for this free open CPOB.
Yeah, I've been trying to do more
Slots.
social media on that.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
quite a bit of social media on it
Yeah.
also.
that's
Yeah.
really great.
So I see that. Getting our word out, right, so. Item, anything else on that one on the update?
Any questions about it?
Board Member Johnson, I do have an update on the ride-along contact.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
So it's Sergeant Todd Snyder. And the best way to reach him is at email, and it's tsnyder@cityoflamesa.us. So it's TSNYDER @cityoflamesa.us.
Great, thank you.
That was quick. Yeah.
It was. All right, so our next item 6, staff and board member announcements.
I just want to announce, several of us were at this event last week, where it's called Let's Get Acquainted with La Mesa Police Department. And it was a great opportunity for the community to find out more about the chief. So Chief Sweeney was there, and Claudia Ortega, the community outreach direct person for the police department, was there. And then the CPOB, many people from CPOB were there. And the chief and Leroy were up front and answered questions and talked about how they interact together, what sort of things that the CPO does, and assistance they might give to the police department. And it was really helpful. It was a, La Mesa Conversations, a nonprofit, invited people from the city. We had about 25, 26 people attend. We were only supposed to have 20 that could actually go into the inner sanctum. But Claudia said, this should be fine. It was a good group. And so everybody went in and took the tour and seemed, have a lot of good questions. It was very helpful. So anyway, that was great. And Leroy did a great job.
With a little
Wouldn't
bit
make
of pride. but,
Wouldn't make us proud. We're all proud of
Yeah.
them, so, yeah. Good evening.
I had one item I wanted to mention that on February 28th, Janet and I presented our yearly report to the city council, and that worked really well. And so we're getting our message out in a lot of ways, but we still need to do more. There's
Yeah.
always more that we need to do. So that was. Anything, anybody?
I'll just report that we had a good experience of the police department in the community. My son plays Little League, I coach on his team. And so we had our opening day ceremonies right there in MacArthur Park, and the police department was there with one of our newest officers. I went up and said hello because I was able to meet him when he was introduced here. I cannot remember his name. The one that the internet blew up for.
Oh.
Yeah, so anyway, and the kids loved getting their pitches, what's the word I'm looking for? The speed on their pitches from the police department and
Radar track.
yeah, radar. Thank you. And a lot of people commented, obviously I'm attuned to it significantly, right? I'm like, oh, okay, this is the police in the community, but I heard parents talking about, oh, this is great for the kids to be, coming up to the police officers and chatting with them and engaging. You guys had an easy up with information as well out there. So it was a really great interaction with the community. I mean, because there were 300 kids or 300 families easily represented there. And so that was really great. And I could tell that newest officer was very happy to be there. And he even actually said, I'm on duty right now, but when somebody heard that a call came in for me, they said, I'll pick up that call because you should stay there, that type of thing. And I just thought that was good interaction between colleagues as well. So it was a real positive experience.
Thank you. I'm glad we were able to get out there.
Yeah.
No, well, one came to mind, the survey reminded me of it is the city just concluded the library and parks needs assessment and feasibility study. Many of you may know, or all of you may know, that the city is studying a library expansion and a few different scenarios of possibly expanding the La Mesa Library and getting feedback from the public on park needs moving forward. So the city had hired R&T architects for that project. I am now with Carlo Gunn, I'm now the lead of that. So that project is moving forward. And we're expecting that by the end of the fiscal year, maybe June, July, we'll be going to council with the process complete and the presentation made to the council on the different development scenarios and their costs. And the council will then be able to decide on the next course of action, which path to take for library expansion. The parks component is more for informing the parks master plan, and that's being handled by community services. So two separate efforts that came together for the survey component, and then we'll split back apart for two different end goals. But the survey for that just concluded. Hopefully some of you got to see it and maybe fill it out. There's a lot of social media on that, a lot of outreach by the consultant on that. So that comes to mind.
Yeah, I think I did.
I
didn't
wanna-
open on those, yeah.
Want to watch for that. So that'll be an exciting project for La Mesa.
Anything else anybody like to share? No? We're good. Okay, then our adjournment at 4:58.
Under an hour. Good job, Leroy.
Yeah.
I told you it was 50 minutes.
Next meeting date.
April 14th.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Bye all. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bob, check your.
So you
spam.
said